really 5 to 7 minutes of 5 or 6 hours will be your most important time. I want to ask you to really look for it, find it, and at the end of the day, declare it and do something with it.
So what do you get? Why should you think about Shoprite versus the larger giants, and I'll say it once, that are out there? You get volume per door. I mean, that's the first thing. I get it. Everything relates back to finance, but you truly get volume per door. You get neighborhoods. You just don't get the neighborhood, but you get insights into the neighborhoods because it's driven by the membership and the member relations with those neighborhoods. You get multicultural. We talk about Hispanics. You talk about the Northeast. Our stores are in some of the most diverse communities. We have incomes of plus 200, plus 100, plus 50, less than 30, and we're in all those neighborhoods. So if you have an idea, we're the place that can help you implement those ideas quickly, and you get quick results with those ideas. We really enjoy experimenting because if we realize that we're not $15 billion by not partnering with our manufacturing communities and partnering with the communities in which we exist. It truly is the time. The time is right to truly partner with our manufacturers and start to drive change at store level and in the communities in which we exist.
Is for those companies out there that want to work with an organization like Walgreens and get your fair share of business, it becomes a lot more complicated, right? But I think there's some real simple things here. And the one that's really important is don't blindly fight for space. Because you are a 20% share in the industry doesn't necessarily mean that you should have 20% share of space in every store that we have. Maybe sometimes 30, sometimes 20. But that in itself is not a good position to come in unless you have a lot of other things to add to it. It's really about collaboration. And the point that we're really looking for and what we need the most is to help us differentiate.
So 80% of new product innovations underperform, as our friend Dan the Man just told us. I might beg to differ with that. I think they're over-forecasted. Okay, I think we need to become much more realistic in the way we forecast our products, because sometimes we have this holy grail attitude about us that we're so great that the competition's never going to do anything. I think we need to be smarter about our forecast, and that's going to help shrink the number of products that underperform. So we are sort of a victim of our own greed. Failure is our own undoing. I think we can have a lot more success if we truly understand the market that we're getting into from the time we start a concept test to the time we hit the market. So, is your team open for review? I hope so. We go around talking to heads of innovation all the time at IRI, and we get people stepping back to say, you know what, there's some interesting things going on here, not just to get my product on the shelf, but to protect the baby in the second year. The second year is so important for sustainable innovation because it's not about getting our baby out there for the first year and nurturing it. It's about long-term health. Just like our own kids, our products are all about long-term health. So we can get to those billion-dollar brands that P&G has and that Mo have and a lot of us have.
That's the benefit to the end consumers. Well, then malls came about and said, you know what? We're going to put ourselves in really convenient locations, and we're going to get everyone around so that it's going to be a fun, entertaining environment, right? I do think there's going to be a new pivot for customers to say, like, well, what is the value of retail?
On Twitter, you guys probably remember this World Cup. It was a big event across the globe, as well as for Twitter. We had a lot of engagement. This particular individual, Luis Suarez, decides to take a bite out of another player's shoulder. So if you guys remember this, it was kind of a big deal. It actually wasn't his first time. He actually took a bite out of someone's body part. It was actually his third. So he had really good, track record in terms of biting people. So this happened on Twitter. A real-time moment that a brand wants to take advantage of was actually, how can we actually enable this conversation, right? So I don't know how many of you guys actually saw this on Snickers. I see a couple hands out there. So Snickers decides, hey, let's tweet directly at this. Let's jump on this real-time moment. How do we leverage this conversation that's happening, right? So they're saying, hey, Luis Suarez, next time you're hungry, grab a Snickers. Their creative content in the middle was more satisfying than Italian. So they threw this thing out. They had creative department that can throw things out pretty real time. So this came out only a couple hours after the actual incident happened. So let's not think about healthcare yet. We'll address that and we'll talk about how to do that in healthcare. But this is what real time, at least to me, and Twitter means. So you can see the number of engagements at the bottom. The big thing that Dan talked about is, not talk at me, but engage with me. How do we actually jump into that conversation and have a meaningful discussion?
Right? If you're on Twitter and you see that sort of never-ending flow of content, I certainly follow too many people. If I haven't seen it really in the first couple of minutes, it's probably gone. And that's why you now see a lot of people tweeting with the letters ICYMI. It means in case you missed it, they're posting it a second time. Now we are much more than just a blog that's about social media. As I was saying, we view the entire world. We call ourselves the voice of digital culture for the connected generation. If you think of this generation of millennials as the connected ones, it should influence every single decision you make about how it is that you impact them. The biggest thing you can talk about is credibility with this audience. It takes a lifetime to build a reputation and a day to ruin it, right? And so a lot of the content that we're creating for both brands and individuals is how they can manage their brand online. We were talking a little bit, some of us who had dinner last night. Thank goodness there was not Facebook when I was in college and high school. How many have felt the same, right? I mean, there's some moment where right now we know if you have a teenager who's coming up, you want to advise them, right, to manage their online brand. We want to guide people in doing the same thing.
Our commitment to our suppliers, our supplier partners, is to give you a large piece of category sales, a large market share within our membership, and to make a substantial inventory investment in your product. Your obligation to us is to stay in stock, to keep us competitive, and to bring constant innovation in terms of new and existing products. And our best partners, these are kind of the attributes. Transparent. We want to know problems early. We want to be part of the solution. We want the right focus on our business, not just sales teams, but behind the scenes, marketing, logistics support. Align with us, understand how to make an item successful, work with our buyers to do that, partner on life cycle decisions. Be a good partner if we have to get out of the item and sell something else that will work.
I do spend a lot of time in our stores. I'm going to tell you that I sat there at a register one day and just watched. And there was one lady that it struck me really, really right here. And she had all of her stuff, and she kept taking things and putting them at the back. And what she was doing was prioritizing, right? And she was watching the little ticker, and it's going, and it's going, and it's going. And she got to coffee, and she said, I can't afford this treat. Treat. I'm telling you that the people that run your brands don't have a clue what this lady's under. Not one semblance of one. All right? And I'll tell you that one innovative supplier, and it wasn't even a supplier, it was a marketing agency that was pitching to Family Dollar, made all of their employees that did the pitch live like a Family Dollar customer for a week. And the God's honest truth was none of them could get through 4 days. That's sobering, but it's also opportunity.